Netflix has recently been creating original series based off of graphic novels. The most recent is Locke and Key from writer Joe Hill. So is season 1 with its 10 episodes worth the binge? After their dad is murdered, the Locke family moves across the country to his family home in order to start over. They find that the house is filled with magical keys that must be used to defend against an evil being who wants to use those keys and the power that they contain. Season 1 is aimed at anybody who likes a little bit of mystery with some teenage angst. And on that note, the 3 Locke siblings are broody and angsty, but you also kind of forgive them because their dad was just murdered, and so they're grieving. They're trying to get through this. The youngest of the 3 you may recognize as Georgie from It. I really like the premise of this and was intrigued by the prospect of a slight horror mystery with a little bit of national treasure thrown in. There's a bit of melodrama that goes along with the show, but then again it is focusing on high school and the relationships, so it's kind of normal that things might get a little overdramatic. It took me a little while to get into this show. At the end of the first episode, I still wasn't totally sold and wasn't convinced that I was going to stick it out through all 10 episodes. But somewhere in the middle of episode 2, it hooked me. It grabbed me. Now, it wasn't one of these things like, oh my gosh, lose sleep, cannot stop, must keep binging. But it was intriguing enough, it was enjoyable enough, and the story was halfway decent that I was like, yeah, okay, I'll keep watching it. And it took me a couple days to finish all 10 episodes, but I had some fun while I was watching. As each episode continued, I was fairly invested and wanted to find out more. But I think they drug out some of the episodes, or just bits of all of them, enough that you really could probably shave off one complete episode and make it just a little bit of a tighter series. I think with that urgency, it would have kept my butt glued to the seat, my eyes open with toothpicks even, going through all hours of the night to watch every single episode back to back to back. The visuals in this are pretty fun. There's even times where we get glimpses into people's minds, and that is a unique view. But, well, like it should be, because everybody is unique and every mind is unique, and so the view into their mind should be just as unique. But some of the takes on it was pretty cool, and I had fun with that and seeing how they portrayed that on the screen for us. The keys that they find are pretty fun, and what they can do with those is pretty cool too. I think for the most part, the characters are pretty likable. They all have a decent amount of charisma to them. There are one or two that just kind of rub you the wrong way, but I think they're supposed to. I don't think that they're the ones that you're supposed to endear yourself to. Because of what happens to them, you're supposed to feel maybe a little bit of tension there, but then they will twist that a little bit and then make you feel bad about how you were feeling. And that may not make a lot of sense, but it will if you watch. One thing that I found really cool in this is the middle sibling, Kinsey. She makes friends with a group of horror junkies. So they just love horror movies, and they spend all of their time watching that. Well, they call themselves the Savinis, after horror and special effects master Tom Savini. Well, what was really awesome is he makes a cameo in this. And so that was just really fun, because as we're watching, I'm like, wait, he looks really familiar. That's why I IMDb'd it, just to be sure. Yep, he's in there. So that was just a fun little nod, and the fact that they were able to incorporate him into the whole storyline. The horror in this is pretty tame, and I don't think there's anything really terrifying in it. There's sometimes a slight creep factor, but it's pretty subdued. I think what plays out more than anything is the mystery and the intrigue, and the search to find the keys, and the race against time before the bad thing finds the keys also. As I stated before, this series is based on the graphic novel written by Joe Hill, who happens to be the son of Stephen King. Now, I'm not familiar with the source material. I haven't read them, so I can't say if this series on Netflix sticks anywhere close to what was actually written on the page. The intrigue of this series is really what kept me going, kept me watching. I mean, yes, there is a little bit of cheese to it, but I'm okay with a little bit of cheese as long as the story kept me moving along and kept me wanting to see more. I do feel that they could have trimmed some, but I am excited to see where season 2 takes us. Now, this isn't a drop everything and binge it right away, but it is something to put on your list if you enjoy a little bit of mystery, a little bit of fun, even a little bit of angsty teenagers. It's a half-decent watch, and you won't go wrong by putting it on your list. There's mild sex, no nudity, a fair amount of profanity and violence, and then there's also drug and alcohol use. I give season 1 of Locke and Key 3 out of 5 couches. Is there a graphic novel that you feel should be turned into a series? Let me know what that is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.